This is the last section of the Eruption, Storm Runners, read with permission by Scholastic. Chase needed to make up his mind. The rattling of the bottles was getting louder. Tomas was going to hear the noise and come out to investigate. Chase turned around very slowly and faced the generator door. "Tomas!" he yelled. The rattling stopped. He wished it hadn't. Tomas appeared in the doorway looking concerned. "You need to close the door. The tiger is in here. I am going to make a run for the loading dock." Tomas took a step out. "No," Chase shouted. "Stay where you are." Tomas hesitated. A sleepy-looking Cindy appeared behind him. "What's going on?" "A tiger is in the building. You need to close the generator door. I'm going to try to get to the loading dock and close the door so it doesn't escape into the village. You cannot come out until I tell you it's safe. But I'll be fine, and so will you if you stay where you are. Close the door, now." Cindy quickly explained the situation to Tomas. After a long moment's hesitation, he closed the door slowly. Now the only light in the plant came from Chase's headlamp. What he had not told Cindy was that the dock door could be closed only by chain from the inside. He would have to pull the heavy door down and then find the small door in the side to get out. The ground floor of the orphanage was chaotic. Poodles were barking, children were crying, people were talking over one another. "What are you doing here, Nicole? Which tiger is it? The elephants are dead? Who was driving the trucks?" "Enough," Nicole said. "We need to find our friends and tell them about the tiger. Then we need to search the village to find out if it's still here." "Yes, we will all go," Pierre Devereaux, the dog trainer, said. "We will walk in a large group with sticks or whatever we can find. It's unlikely the tiger will attack a group." "Unlikely," Dennis the clown said. Pierre shrugged. "Nothing is for certain, of course." "Of course," Mark said. Dennis smiled. "If we can, we will contain him," Pierre said. "If we cannot, we will try to drive him from the village." Chase ran towards the door, but he didn't get very far. He slipped on the bottles and fell. "That's it. American boy mauled to death by tiger in a bottled water plant in Mexico." But that wasn't it. The big cat sounded like it was having the same difficulty negotiating the bottles strewn across the floor as Chase had. The tiger roared in frustration. Chase stood back up. He started moving forward again, but this time he went more slowly, trying to be careful about where he put his feet. He risked a glance behind him and wished he hadn't. The tiger was out in the open now and gaining on him. Concentrate on the chain. Chase wanted to head straight through the door and run off into the dark night, but it was too late for that. If the tiger followed him, he would never be able to outrun it. His only hope was the door, and the ruse Mama Rossi had used to confuse Hector the leopard back in Florida. Chase lunged for the chain and grabbed it with his right hand, hoping the door hadn't been left open because it was broken. With his left hand, he tore the headlamp off his forehead and tossed it back towards where he thought the tiger was. He was working in complete darkness now. The door began to close as Chase double-handed the chain down as fast as he could. The tiger growled. The light from Chase's headlamp flashed around the building, which meant the tiger had fallen for Mama Rossi's trick. The door clicked shut as it smashed into the threshold. The headlamp went out. The tiger had smashed the bulb. "All I have to do now is crawl a dozen feet to my left and find the small door in the pitch dark and let myself out before the tiger pounces on me." He started to crawl. The tiger ran into the big metal door and let out another horrendous growl. Chase tried to ignore the terrible sound as he felt his way along the wall. The building was made of cinder blocks. He felt the metal door frame. Doorknob, 4 feet up from the ground. He reached for where he thought the doorknob should be, but just then the door swung open. A hand reached through and pulled him to the dock. A second later, the tiger hit the door. The door held. Gasping for breath, Chase looked up at his savior. It was Tomas. He helped Chase to his feet and then took a close look at him, as if he were checking to see if Chase still had all his limbs. "You okay?" "No," Chase said. "How did you get here?" "Window," Tomas answered. Chase started laughing, and Tomas joined him, and that's how Nicole, Mark, Cindy, and the others found them. "You two have a really twisted sense of humor," Mark said. Nicole looked at the doors. She could hear the tiger on the other side. "Did you catch yourself another cat?" "Sure did," Chase said. He looked at Tomas. "With a little help from my friend. Where's my dad?" "Up on the mountain," Nicole said. "Taking a cat nap," Mark said. Guess we should go up there and wake him up. 10:47 p.m. Chase was the first to reach his father. Hey, sport, his father said. What time is it? Chase asked. His father laughed. You know what? I have no idea. Apparently that last bolt knocked the ability right out of me. Guess I'll have to buy a watch now. You okay? A couple of cracked ribs and a badly sprained ankle. Mark said he thought it was broken. I bet you he's wrong. Nicole and Cindy came up next, followed by Tomas, Mark, and several men from the village with a stretcher. His father's sat phone rang, startling everybody. Excuse me, he said, and answered it. That's a negative. The cavalry just arrived. They're taking me down the mountain as we speak. Go ahead and evac the circus people. I'll get an LZ cleared up here and see you in the village at first light. Roger that. Out. Who was that? Chase asked. That was SEAL Team 1, Commander Raul Delgado. The only easy day was yesterday, Chase said. His father smiles. As it turns out, you might be right. I guess I have some explaining to do. Yeah, you do, Chase said. And I promise I will, his father said. He turned to Nicole. Most of your people are on army trucks headed back to Mexico City. Delgado is going to move the animals next. Road crew should have the slide cleared and the bridge back up in a few days, and they'll be able to retrieve their vehicles then. Delgado is leaving a couple men behind to keep an eye on things until they can return. He handed Mark the video camera. Mark turned it on and started filming. Thursday, 7:15 a.m. Dawn filtered through the window as Tomas tightened the last bolt. He passed the ratchet to Chase, then wiped his clever hands with a rag. Fixed? Chase asked. Maybe. They had been in the generator room since they dropped Chase's father at the church to have his ribs and ankle looked at. When Chase wasn't handing Tomas tools, he was at the middle door, peering through the safety glass. It was too dark to see the bottling plant, but he could hear the tiger prowling, slipping plastic bottles across the cement floor. Tomas hit some switches and the generator came to life. The tiger roared. Chase hurried over to the door. The tiger had his front paws on the conveyor belt and was looking up at the fluorescent lights. Contained, Chase thought, and bigger than he looked last night. He walked over to Tomas. Everything good? I think so. I'm going over to the church to check on my dad. Tomas nodded. I will watch the generator. Don't open the door, Chase said, smiling. Tomas laughed. Chase climbed through the window. The sun was rising over the top of the volcano. The slopes were covered with ash. A wisp of white steam curled up from the crater. The mountain was peaceful once again, but the memory of its violence was everywhere as Chase made his way to the village square. He arrived just as the first chopper touched down on the cobblestones in a swirl of ash. His father was on crutches, waiting for it. Mark had his camera rolling. Cindy stood by him, jotting something down in a notebook. Chase stood at the edge of the square, out of the worst of the ash, and watched. A big man in a black uniform jumped out, walked up to Chase's father, and saluted. John returned the salute. Commander Delgado. Chase shook his head. I guess I had to see it to believe it, he thought. Dad really was a Navy SEAL. Several other men jumped out of the chopper, carrying stretchers and supplies. The last two men to climb out were not dressed in uniforms. One was tall and thin, the other was squat and heavy. They carried a large crate between them. Circus roustabouts. Nicole came out of the church alongside the stretcher carrying her mother. Leah's stretcher was right behind them. Chase waved, but Nicole didn't notice. She was talking to her mother. The men loaded the stretchers onto the chopper, and Nicole climbed in after them. I should go up and say something. I can't just let her fly off. Chase started forward, but stopped. More stretchers were arriving. He didn't want to get in their way. He looked at his father, who was laughing at something with Delgado and Cindy. Mark was still filming. Nicole wouldn't leave without saying goodbye. Another chopper appeared over the lake and hovered, awaiting its turn. 2 more stretchers were brought over to the first chopper. Now or never. He started across the square. Nicole jumped off the chopper before he had taken 10 steps. He stopped again. She waved to someone inside and hurried out from beneath the rotors. Nicole! She ran over and gave him a hug. You're not going with your mom and sister? She shook her head. I didn't want to take the space from someone who's injured. I'm taking the last chopper out with the poodles and the tiger. She raised an eyebrow. You didn't think I'd leave without saying goodbye, did you? Well, Nicole took his hand. Let's go down to Lago de la Montaña. I haven't seen it yet. 7:56 a.m. Nicole and Chase walked along the shore holding hands. So your mom's okay? Chase said. Nicole nodded. She woke up last night wanting to get out of bed and check on the animals. It took 3 of us to hold her down. Leah wasn't much better. Rossies aren't very good at lying around. The doctor had been worried about spine or neck injuries, but he revised his prognosis after seeing her trying to get up. He suggested she stay in the hospital for several days. I predict it will be 1 day at the most. I talked to my dad. He's on the same flight we took to Mexico City. With any luck, he'll beat them to the hospital and try and keep them in their beds for a couple of days. Who's taking care of the farm? The Stones. I talked to Rashawn. Pet and the calf are fine. The only problem they're having is with her little brother. He's so excited to be around the animals that Mama Rossi's threatening to lock him up in one of the cages so he doesn't hurt himself. The second chopper took off, and a third landed. Have they picked up the people on the road? Chase asked. They're all at the fairgrounds with Arturo. As soon as I show up with the tiger, we'll head back to the States. Then what? Nicole shook her head. I don't know. It could be the end of the Rossi Brothers circus, but you never know. We've been through bad times and the show still went on. We have all winter to see where we're at. She stopped and picked up a piece of pumice. What about you? She asked. What are your plans? I don't know. I haven't had a chance to talk to my father. It's up to him. You're welcome to come back with me to the farm. We could use your help, and She flushed and looked away. So tell me about the tiger. Chase smiled, but it wasn't about the tiger. He was pretty certain that Nicole felt the same way about him as he did about her. What's so funny? Not a thing. Chase leaned forward and kissed her. 9:30 a.m. The last chopper had landed. They were standing outside the bottling plant. I guess it's tiger time, Nicole said. She looked at Chase. So you think I can tranquilize it from the generator room? Chase nodded. There's a small safety window in the door. It will have to be broken out to get the rifle through, but Tomas is there. He can break it out for you. All right, Nicole said. Let's get this over with. Commander Delgado looked at Nicole and scratched his doubled chin. I'll just come out with it, he said. You can say yes or no. It's totally up to you. You're the expert. You're the boss. But I have always wanted to dart a big cat. Can I dart the big fellow? Nicole looked at him and squinted her eyes. What kind of a shot are you? Delgado gave her a big smile. Chase's father smiled too. Well, I'm a pretty fair shot, truth to be told. But I'll be honest, I've never shot a tranquilizer rifle like this one. Nicole looked at John. What do you think? Well, he did fly out here and rescue your mom and sister and ferry all the circus people to the other side of the bridge. Don't forget the animals, Delgado said. We took them too. Getting those camels on the chopper was no picnic, I can tell you, although it was kind of fun. Nicole handed him the rifle. Okay, you need to hit the large muscle mass in the hind leg, 75 to 100 feet max. I'm not going in there without you, Delgado said. You need to guide me through it. They disappeared around the corner with Mark and Cindy close behind. That left Chase and his father alone. You sure your ankle isn't broken? Chase asked. Just a bad sprain. The crutches make it look worse than it is. And the ribs? Well, those do hurt, but they'll heal. You won't be much good around here, stove in like you are. I'll supervise Tomas. Chase laughed. Like he needs you telling him what to do. Good point, but I'm still going to stick around. For a while, anyway. Did they get the guy on the road with the broken leg? The guy who hit you in the head and hijacked the quad? Yeah, that guy. They got him, but it wasn't easy. No place to land. They had to rope him up. Good. Chase was in a forgiving mood. Are you heading out with Nicole and the tiger? I talked to Marco. He said he would be happy to have you stay on his farm for a while. I'm sure Nicole would be too. Chase grinned. I think I better stay here with you. What about school? It'll be a couple of weeks before they get the schools going in Palm Breeze again. Then what? You tell me, Chase said. His father shook his head. No, Chase, you tell me. When we're done here, we can go back to Palm Breeze. We can even go back home if you want. Oregon? Chase was shocked. His father held his gaze for a moment. I'm ready, Chase. Chase wasn't sure that he was ready. He'd put that possibility out of his mind a long time ago, and now there was Nicole to think about. Are you sure you're okay? Did the lightning strike knock some sense into me? I guess. I mean, you're acting like you did before. He didn't finish the sentence. It was a subject they never talked about. His father finished the sentence for him. Before your mom and little monkey died? Chase hadn't heard his father use his sister Monica's nickname since the accident. I'm better, Chase. No more storm running. No more running from myself. It's my turn to follow you. The only hard day was yesterday, Chase said. Let's hope so. His father smiled and put his hand out. Do we have a deal? Chase shook his father's hand, happy to have him back. He wondered how long it would last. Deal, he said. So think about how the characters changed throughout the series. And also, I wonder what's happening next. I wonder if they're going to go to Oregon, or I wonder if they're going to go back to the Rossi farm, or what they're going to do. I would be interested in seeing you write a little ending about where you think they went. If that's something that interests you, do that and send it to me. I'd enjoy seeing it. Thank you very much for reading the books with me. And Roland Smith has written some other series too that you might be interested in. Have a wonderful summer.